People, Deluded, I'm back again. First of all, people, I apologise for this rather late loan report or loan watch. You know me, I'm normally quick with these things, but between transfer window, between having my own life, between there being other videos to speak about, I just haven't had the time, and the games are coming thick and fast. So obviously since last Saturday, a number of our players have been involved in midweek. Ironically, a lot of them will be involved tomorrow, which is Saturday. You know, I'm proud of our young players going out on loans. I do think we have a mixture of players. I think there's players that need to go on loan and put themselves in the shop window. Some players that just need to advance their careers, and some players that need to get some consistency, get some experience, and then try and tackle breaking into Arteta's side. But either way, I think every player that's gone out on loan, whether it's a success or not in terms of playing, is going to learn a lot. And I think this is better than under 23s football. Like, I feel the vast majority of players, you know, that are of that you need to play football or they're getting on a bit, they've all seized their futures into their hands and gone out on loan. You know, Arsenal, we've got a number of players at League One clubs in particular, and if they showcase something there, then obviously they put themselves in the shop window for coaching staff to report back positively, apologies to Arteta, or, you know, bids can come in and whatnot and things like that. So starting off, apologies people, let's start off with one of my favourites, Tyreece John-Jules. You know, all we need to do is see him get more experience. Obviously, he's going to have to prove he can score goals. Since the last report, he's had 2 games. Let's start against Wigan. Against Wigan, he had a couple of bright moments, a couple of bright touches, but I think it was a disappointing result for Doncaster all round, and I did think he was relatively quiet by his own standards. I do think midweek against Oldham, I can't remember the result, people, of the Oldham game. Sorry, I can't remember the exact scoreline, but they lost to Oldham in the EFL Trophy group stage. Much better performance. His link-up play was sharper. There was crisper passing. You know, he was working the channels like he does. You know, probably could. You just want to see Tyreece get a couple more goals, but he's not particularly being given enough goal-scoring opportunities. Maybe that's down to him because he's got it in his locker to sort of force the issue, to not rely on service from others, to make more of a half a yard for himself and score. But again, I think he's been showcasing since he's been out on loan how good of a player he is. We just need more experience, and while goals aren't the end of it, he does need to prove he can score goals, and I think he will. You know, he's adjusted to that level, but it's a tough one for him this week. They've got 2 defeats. Moving away from him, people, and focusing on Trey Coyle. You know, he got minutes in the EFL against Ipswich, and people, forgive me if I'm wrong, and they both played against Shrewsbury Town, if I can remember rightly. Again, it's difficult remembering off the bat all the games I've watched over the past thing, but they drew 1-1 against the latest game. They drew 1-1 against Shrewsbury. You know, it was Zach Medley in particular, his 3rd consecutive start. You know, he started off the season, lost his place. Manager was very critical of him, and after that he's been doing his thing. I think Medley had an important game. He made a number of crucial interceptions. He played a lot of blocks. It was a very, you know, backs against the wall moment sort of time. I feel both teams let themselves down. You can go and watch the highlights as well in the 1-1 game because of set pieces. You know, they're at 6. Gillingham were at 6s and 7s, and Medley, I wouldn't class that as an assist, but, you know, for the equaliser, he keeps it alive. Eventually it falls to one of his teammates who slots it home. But Coyle started off the season a bit strong, started off very strongly and has maintained it, but probably just come out the side now, and, you know, lost his place of sorts or just kind of fizzled out a bit. But this is what you want to see. You know, I think they're both having really encouraging spells at Gillingham. They've both certified themselves. You know, Medley's shown how important again he could be. Coyle started off brightly, not really scored of late, but again he showcased his abilities. You know, even in the last game he played midweek, he went close with a free kick, if I can remember correctly. So they fitted him well. It's similar, the same story. They're getting experience under their belt and they're going, and that's one thing I like about this, because whether I'm seeing win, losing or drawing, I'm seeing immediate things that suggest Tyreece can learn from this. The same goes for our pair at Gillingham in Medley and Coyle. So yeah, people, probably out of all the loan action stuff I saw this week, I'd say the most encouraging performance was Osei-Tutu in the Cardiff draw. Cardiff had a man sent off. You know, obviously when you think of Tutu, you know, for me he's going to have more of a future at right back, and that's where he's been playing for Cardiff. He was up and down that flank, he was bombing down, he was a threat. You know, he kept his man quiet as well. I think that was probably the best game I've seen of him so far in the Cardiff shirt, and I think out of everybody this week, he'd probably be the lone star of the week, or if there was one. So there's that. Admittedly, people, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I've seen nothing in regards to this week of Mavropanos, but I do believe he's finally made his debut over in Germany. You know, I'll catch him on the rebound. But for this week, I've got nothing to report on. But if he did get minutes, it's nice to know. Obviously, he's getting more experience in it because he's got a good loan on the face of it. You know, you're in Germany, you're in the top league. You know, go and put yourself in the shop window for Arteta because the landscape of our centre halves is going to change. We've got 8 on the books. Question marks over all but probably 3. I'd say Marie because we've just signed him. You know, David Luiz is he could still be added to that, but it's Arteta's guy. I would actually just say Marie, Gabriel, and Saliba. You know that they're gonna be here in 2 years' time or next year in some capacity. I think Holding can be thrown into that, but you never know. Chambers the same. Mustafi, Luiz. I think Luiz will stay, but you know you've got 3 centre halves running out of contract, so it's down to Mavropanos to put himself in the shop window and show Arteta he's got more experience than he can be called upon, or you know to show he can go out on loan to the Premier League or again to a top German team or a team playing in the top division. Or, you know, if he's not going to have a future here, we didn't sign him for the biggest of fees. Not every player or young player we sign from humble beginnings needs to make it here. Can he turn himself into a 20-odd million player in an ideal world in the Bundesliga? And that's more money for Arsenal to flip, you know. I don't think we're going to get Aouar, but if we was to go for Aouar next year, you know, you could see a good season from Torreira. And off the basis that he's not got an obligation at Atletico, he's on loan. Can you get 30-40 million for him? Guendouzi, if he plays all right, can you get 20, 30, you know? Obviously, Mavropanos, can you get 15, 20? These are all fees that can be there. So, you know, next season, you'd imagine with contracts running out, Arsenal are going to have a lot of resources in wages. And if we can sell players that futures aren't really decided, although they are, there's money there. So big up Mavropanos. Matt Smith played, his team lost, but again, you know, he scored quite high for interceptions for his side. He played on the left hand side of a midfield pivot. You know, he's freshly just turned 20 this week, and Matt Smith is someone I think, you know, is going to put himself in the shop window. I don't think he's going to make it at Arsenal purely because of the competition, the ages that he needs to play games. I know Arteta likes him, and you know, he was on the bench towards the end of the last season with Torreira, Rosa and Guendouzi not really being a part of things, but I just think it's not going to happen here. You know, for a number of years at 23s and 18s, he's been consistent. He's playing the same way at first team. He's a midfielder that the English game needs. You know, he's got a good passing range. He can pass the ball. You can tell he's come from Arsenal's academy, but he's got that English heart. He puts himself around. You know, he's very much a working man's midfielder, and he did that. He puts himself around, and again, like I said, shop window. Can you convince Swindon? Sorry, I keep saying Swindon to take you permanently? Can you tempt League One clubs to take you on a permanent basis? Can you tempt Championship clubs? I don't think you're ready for Premier League football if you will ever be, but can you do that as well? It's about putting himself in the shop window. Obviously, you want to see as many players come through the first team as possible, but you know, if he can go off and make Arsenal a decent profit, is what it is. You should always back yourself and always believe in yourself, but if you do the maths, you know, 20 years of age, you don't even have to be the same sort of midfielder. Partey is now there. Miguel Aziz is probably behind in his development due to age, but he's going to get more opportunities than you. Joe Willock is still there in the midfield. You've got Ceballos on loan for a year. El Nene is still there. Technically, Torreira and Guendouzi are still employed by this club. So if you look at all of this and you're Matt Smith at 20, and there's obviously people around of the similar thing in your age group, it's not, you hope you can make it at Arsenal, you want to make it at Arsenal, but you need to give yourself the best platform in that if a team comes to take you permanently, or if Arsenal say, well, you ain't got a future here, you hit the ground running. I think this is designed to put himself in the shop window. I'd be surprised in the next 18 months, 2 years, if he's not sold or doesn't put himself in the shop window, that he gets a little cut price move, and I wish him all the best. I think he's of the level where week in, week out, he needs to play league football. This under-23s thing is dead now, and a lot of these young players that have been exposed to it, they don't want to go back. Like Tyreece John-Jules, I'm not speaking for a man, because I don't know a man like that, but at the same time, he's batted up 23s football. You know, he's now gone on loan at Lincoln, and before Corona was involved with the fans, and the fans talked to him and playing it week in, week out, playing against grown centre-halves. You don't want to go through that and then go back to 23s, because I can guarantee you all of these lads, after every game, there's immediately something they feel they could have done better, they need to improve at, or they kind of effed up at. You know, you're not getting that at 23s all the time. You get away with a lot of mistakes. You don't have to necessarily challenge yourself when you're a top striker scoring all them goals. When you're like Medley and you can put every striker in your back pocket, you know, you play against a street smart man, you get ruined. You know what you need to improve in. So listen, I don't think any of these guys willingly want to go back to 23s. It's like Oli Inca, like fair enough if you believe the best place for you to serve your development is Arsenal, but I can't understand it. You've gone to Northampton on loan, you've played in, you know, playoffs or something like that, forgive me if I'm wrong, or the route before the playoffs. You want to go back to playing 23s? Really? You know, is that, again, like Oli Inker, it's difficult for him to make it at midfield. I'm not ruling these guys out at all, but if I was going to look at it, there's very few central midfielders within our 23s and 18s, as much as I believe in anyone, that are going to have futures at this club. I can't even say it, but there's even some of the most highly rated midfielders that I always gas about. Truthfully, I'm not too sure if they're going to make it here. You know, it's about giving yourself a platform. Because Arsenal, and like every club, you know, when you're 18, 16, they'll tell you everything. You know, you'll sign the big deal. You'll be part of the team. You know, like Smith is now. He gets to train with the first team he was travelling. But that bubble's going to pop, you know. You don't want to be at a crossroads. You're involved, but you're not involved. And I think this is what these guys need. Experience. Minutes are currency. You expose yourself to first team. You're able to have a career. Because now look at it. If Matt Smith was a fresh 20-year-old, let's just say Arsenal said this long thing this summer, Arsenal said, you know what, Matt, you need to move on. You know, you're not having a future here. He'll probably get an offer. People will listen. Oh, Matt Smith, Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. They'll listen. They'll take him on trial and things. But there'll be that thing in the back of his head, like experience. You'll get the managers that will give a chance. But now you look at it, if Arsenal say, you know, it's best you move on next year, you can say, all right, cool, I've had my education at Arsenal. You know, Arteta knows what I'm on, and I've got to train there. I've got the Arsenal education. I've got the individual components, what makes me Matt Smith. But I've now also got a solid year of League One football. Don't make you the most experienced, but that's something to work with. So if I'm a manager now, I'm like, oh, he was at Arsenal. If he's at Arsenal, he's probably got a good range of passing. You know, he's probably, you know, and man show his metrics because he's always up there for interceptions and covering ground. I see you've got the engine and the interception, so you're not, you know, you're very much rugged and able for League One. You got the passing range, and I see, oh, he had a little year at Swindon. Alright, cool. He's got something to build upon. So I'm not expecting fireworks, but that gives me something. And also it means he's able to be more consistent. That's one thing I like about Matt Smith. You know, he's not necessarily going to score mad goals, mad assists and do these things, but he's so far so good. He's been very consistent in his lone appearances. You've seen the interceptions, you've seen the engine, you've seen the passing range, you've seen the tenacity. He puts himself around, whether they've won, lost or drawn. And what I like about him, he's able to rein it in. But collectively as a team, if you watch that 3-1 defeat to Peterborough, they messed it up. They took the lead, they messed it up. I think they let Peterborough's big money new signing striker score a brace or so, if I can remember correctly. But it was just a bit of a shambles, really. Ben Shave, obviously last week against Barnsley, got to start and he got 90 minutes against Bournemouth. He did alright in the midfield, but his task, like the rest of his teams, was made 10 times harder when they had a man sent off. Mark McGuinness could play tomorrow against Blackpool, but in relation to at the time of making this vid, people, he's actually cup tied, so he didn't get to play midweek. So that one's a myth. I believe that was the EFL trophy, and ironically he played for Arsenal in that, and that's what made Ipswich move for him. So he'll get his game time. You know, he could be in the squad against Blackpool tomorrow, and then, you know, he might even play his teammate at youth level. Now will be a rival. You know, Daniel Bellard's just completed a move, apologies, to Blackpool. So depending on how much he's trained and what the manager thinks, his career in League One for Blackpool might get started tomorrow. So we'll have to see. Swanson, you know, I'm not going to sit here and lie, people. I don't know how you watch him in Holland. I can't. I can only read stuff and go on stuff like that. Apparently he's made 2 appearances and he's always spoken of being quite happy there. And again, he's 20 years of age. He's played centre-half. He's played either side of the full-back positions for us. He's even played in midfield. He needs to go and get appearances. He needs to, because for me, when I look at Swanson, I think you can play a number of positions, but what are you? You know, what are you really good at? And you need to go and get senior experience, because he probably, you know, not going to make it here. These are the things he needs to go out and do, and he's gone out and done that. I think the players that realise or recognise the best step for them, the next best step in their development, they've either left this club on a permanent basis, people, or they've gone on loan. You've got a number of 23s footballers like, listen, I don't know what the coaches told them, I don't know what the agents told them, I don't know what Arteta might have told them, but I look at it as a fan and I say, a lot of you're not going to make it here, and you're not giving yourself the best platform to have a career away from this, because you're wasting time in 23s. Of course it looks great, you're playing for Arsenal, you're training at London Coley, but that bubble's going to burst, and a lot of you are not going to play elite level football, so you need to give yourselves the best platform. Minutes are currency, minutes breeds experience. Theoretical training and all these things and playing youth football can only take you so far. Not everybody needs to go out on loan, people. Once again, everyone's development is different, but I believe every player that's decided to depart this club on a temporary basis this year has made the right decision. Also as well, while there's no information right now on them, but you know, Dejan Ilev, you know, 25-year-old goalkeeper, probably our fourth choice. He's been on loan previously in Poland and Slovakia, apologies, and I think he's been on loan somewhere else. But he's completed a loan move to, ironically, Shrewsbury Town, the team that obviously Zach Medley played for. So we'll have another man to speak about, and another one of our Arsenal loan army in League One. He's joined on a deal until January 2021, and on a similar sort of loan spell until January 2021 to Tolaji Bowler of Arsenal, 21 years of age, has gone out on loan to Rochdale. Again, you're 21, you need to get experience. And even if we go back to the MK Dons game, I bet you all them players learned a lot. Bowler played, McGuinness played, you know, Ballard played technically, forgive me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong about Ballard. But you can, McGuinness, if I haven't said it, they all got a little taste, and that's what you want to do, you know. You don't want to, 23s isn't going to help you. 23s is too comfortable. You know, ironically, you know, you might learn, you might, as much as I say that, I might want you all to not go on loan because our 23s performances so far and results have been atrocious. But this is what you've got to do. They've all got to be selfish, you know. They've all got to be selfish. You look at Medley. Apparently a big reason as to why he didn't go out on loan was because Bold said, I want to keep you and you're going to be captain. Now, I get that. But how much better could Medley have been if he said, you know what, Bold, I hear that, but F that, I'm not on that, I want to go out on loan. With an extra year under his belt, you know. I'm like I keep saying, and I might sound like a broken record, but I really like how every one of these players has just gone out and they're getting experience. And so far, it looks like good loan choices as well. You know, Tutu seems to found a good little home in Cardiff. And again, you know, when you look at Tutu, Ben Shave, Matt Smith in particular, you know, these are players, Swanson, these are potentially players that need to put themselves in the shop windows. For the likes of Medley, Coyle and Tyreece and these sorts, they've got to prove they've got a use at Arsenal. They've got to prove to Arteta they can do a thing. And they've also got to consider, of course, that their futures might lie away from this club. So for me, the best thing is experience, you know. It's important to pick the right loan club because, you know, you find yourself playing out of position in a system that you can't benefit from or excel in. On one hand, playing out of position in different systems, of course, is great, but there's a fine line between that and obviously going out on loan, playing out of position, playing for a team that you don't have the capabilities or strengths to thrive in, and then obviously people look at you like it ain't worked out. So far it looks like every club we've looked at to send our players on loan, it's been good. And I know Mavropanos is on loan. Mavropanos is in loan in Germany. Excluding that, Tutu's probably playing in the highest. What's his name's playing Championship as well? Shave. We could have another player in Saliba going there. And again, I want to see us pick the best option for Saliba. You know, for me, there's a choice of Swansea off the field might be detrimental because you're hearing he needs warmth and whatnot. It can be a lonely place, but Swansea, just based on young players being afforded chances, would be good. I feel Norwich would be good. They play forward-thinking football. They've got a manager who shows faith in young players. They've lost Ben Godfrey as well. That could be a temporary fix for them. I've previously said, I mean, I think Arsenal have a good relationship with Brentford. I think Brentford would be a fantastic choice for many reasons. You know, you got Watford, Norwich, Brentford. There's a couple other ones in question, but they'd be the first three sort of that I would be trying to loan him out to. But it's down for the loan manager in the club. I'm never going to pretend to know more about their job than them or know more than them. So we'll have to see what happens. But so far, so good. And our players are developing. So that's all I can hope for. On that note, DG, I'm out.